Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. On this fine evening, Canadian immigration decided that they're going to give you permanent residency through 6 new immigration pathways. So if you are working in Canada at this point, then make sure you watch the video till the end, because there is going to be some way for you to change your temporary status to permanent residency. Okay, so before we start the video, international student graduates, I'm going to discuss them at the end. So if you are an international student, you may skip the rest of the video, and if you have already read the news, then you can skip the video. Otherwise, for all the other viewers of this video, Canada announced 6 new immigration pathways. Okay, now this is an attempt from them to reach their quota, to reach their PR quota for the year 2021. That was 4,01,000 new permanent residents, as told by the IRCC, that in the first 2 months of 2021, IRCC issued permanent residency to more than 50,000 people in first 2 months of 2021. So looks like that they are on a rush. And then on February 13 probably, we saw the history making draw. That was 27,000 odd people selected in a single draw. Okay, so I keep on talking about that draw because that is a draw that actually changed the whole scenario. Okay, so now the new 6 immigration pathways, I would give you the general idea that the 3 pathways are for French speakers only, and then the 3 pathways are for English speakers and French speakers. Okay, like normal. If you know only English, then you can apply for these 3 pathways. Okay, so the first pathway is international students graduate, which I will talk about at the end of this video. Okay, the second immigration pathway, which is for healthcare professionals, or the people who are working in healthcare, that includes dentists and other healthcare knocks, and as well as some social work knocks are also included in this category. Okay, and they are going to select 20,000 people who are working in the healthcare professions. When they will apply to this program, they should be residing and working in Canada. Okay, the third immigration pathway is for the essential workers. Now, what are these essential occupations? As soon as the pandemic started and the world was under the lockdown, we started listening to this term, essential workers. These essential workers, it could be someone at Walmart telling you that this cereal is best for your morning breakfast, but that is essential worker as per the pandemic crisis, because obviously you need to eat, you need to these are the essential occupations. You get my point? Okay, if you have your work experience in these occupations within the last 3 years, then obviously 30,000 applicants will be getting PR this year. It is actually very windy right now, and I'm not sure that if you guys would be able to hear me or not. But anyway, I will continue the video, okay, because I don't really have much time. It is going to be the end of the fast today, so I will continue the video and then I will edit it after Rosa maybe. Okay, so yeah, these were the 3 immigration pathways. We will talk about their eligibility now. Okay, the healthcare workers and the essential workers, they have a similar kind of eligibility. Okay, so I will discuss them in a cluster. Okay, so first of all, your occupation needs to be in the list that is shared on their website. Okay, some 40 knocks for healthcare professional and some 90 knocks for the essential workers. Okay, so your occupation needs to be in one of those occupations. Okay, so that is one thing for that is clear. Okay, and then another thing is that your experience needs to be full-time for at least 1 year. Okay, so whenever we say full-time 1 year experience, it can also include part-time 2 years experience that will be compiled as a 1 full year experience. Okay, so that 1 year experience needs to be within the last recent 3 years. Okay, and their website does not really say whether those occupations need to be held by you right now or not, or you can be working in another occupation right now. But the another eligibility is that you need to be working for an employer in Canada. Okay, and they did not specify that this current work has to be from those knocks or not. Okay, so we cannot say anything about that right now, but one thing is for certain, that if your work was part-time, you need to have at least how do you calculate part-time work experience into full-time work experience? That will be like, if you were working 15 hours in a week, then we know that full-time work is 30 hours a week. So that means that if you work 2 weeks, you will be considered 1 week full-time. Okay, so similarly, if your work experience was 30 hours per week, then that is full-time work experience. Okay, so 1 year full-time experience within last 3 years, and currently you could be working in any other NOC. That is, to my understanding, is the eligibility. Okay, and then the language eligibility is CLB4. Okay, that is CLB4 in English, and the NCLC4 for French speakers. Okay, now these two streams, they are basically for English speakers, and out of the 6 new immigration pathways, these two streams, these new pathways will equate to the 2 French speaking pathways of the similar kind. Okay, French speaker healthcare professionals and French speaker essential workers. So these are the 4 pathways out of the 6 new immigration pathways. Okay, and 2 pathways are for students. Okay, international graduate students and international student graduates, French speakers. Okay, that is clear. Now, another part of eligibility for healthcare professional and the essential workers is that they cannot be self-employed at this time. They need to be working for someone, unless you're a doctor who is working for a designated medical facility, right? Now, another eligibility is that at the time of application, you need to have a valid work experience. I mean, you cannot be in between jobs, you cannot be free, you cannot be just self-employed, you cannot be self-employed. You need to have a job. Now, that being said, within the last 3 years, your experience was 1 year in these NOCs, and currently you have a valid job, then you can apply for this immigration pathway. Obviously, this is not a program for outland applicants. This is something for the people who are already there. All right, so the last part about these essential workers and healthcare professionals is that they need to be outside of Quebec, because this is a program announced by the federal government, and Quebec does not follow the immigration policies of the federal government. So if your intention is to live in Quebec, then you cannot apply to this program. Okay, your education could have been from Quebec, but your work experience needs to be outside of Quebec. That is an obligation. Okay, so for Quebec, for the people living in Quebec, obviously there could be some other programs for them, but this is not their program. Okay, you need to be living outside of Quebec, and you cannot have an intention of moving towards the province of Quebec. That is the last eligibility factor. Now, the next point, that is number 5 and number 6 on my list, is international student graduates. That is for English speakers and for French speakers. Okay, now let's talk about what is an international student graduate. That is a person who had completed a study program from a DLI. That is a designated learning institute. Now, designated learning institute is basically a university or a college that is approved by, obviously, that is recognized by IRCC. That is a designated learning institute. Okay, that is a side tip. Whenever you're applying for a study visa, you need to look at their website that whether it is a designated learning institute or not. Is it a DLI or not? Then secondly, you need to check whether that DLI is whether that DLI has a COVID readability or not. Okay, if they are not ready for COVID, if they don't have those measures in place, then obviously you cannot expect that student direct stream visa to be approved. Okay, now coming back to the new immigration pathway, that is international student graduates. Now, this study cannot be a secondary education, it needs to be post-secondary. Okay, so this can be a bachelor's degree, it could be a postgraduate diploma, it could be a master's degree, but the program duration needs to be at least 8 months. Okay, it cannot be, generally it cannot be below 8 months, unless you have a vocational training that needs 1800 hours. You can check your website for that if you have DVS. Okay, now coming back to the international student graduates and their eligibility. Your IELTS requirement, or if you speak French, then obviously your NCLC requirement is 5, like CLB 5 for IELTS speakers, for English speakers as well. CLB 5 is the minimum eligibility. Okay, that's loud and clear. Now, earlier in this video I talked about people living or working in Quebec, but for education, your education could be from Quebec. You can have education from Quebec, and now you could be living outside of Quebec and you could be working somewhere other than any parts of Quebec. Then you can apply for this program. Your education could be from there, but now you have to be outside of Quebec to apply for this program, and you cannot have an intention of going back to Quebec. Okay, now that was another eligibility factor. Okay, so another eligibility factor, I've actually written it down on the notebook of diary of my daughter. Okay, so working in Canada before applying, you cannot be unemployed and you cannot be self-employed either. Okay, now before jumping to the last section of this video, that is for French speakers, let me give you a fun fact. Okay, in 2020 the population growth rate of Canada was 0.4%. Yes, so it was only lowest to the year 1911 probably, when World War I was going on, when there was too many deaths going on and too less new childbirths were incoming. At that time the population growth rate was 0.3%. So in 2020, because of not inviting new immigrants, their population growth rate was equal to World War I days. So this was a fun fact, actually, just to motivate you guys that don't worry, Canada will invite you, don't worry about it. Immigrants are the key for Canadian economy and their success. Okay, so another point for the French speakers that is also applicable to English speakers, that your education, that the post-secondary education, it needs to be within the recent 4 years. Okay, it cannot be before January 2017. Okay, and you need to be living in Canada, you need to be working in Canada. Okay, so now the recap: 20,000 healthcare professionals on a temporary resident status, they are going to get their PR. 30,000 essential workers who are living and working in Canada on a temporary status are going to get their PR in 2021. Okay, that is the general understanding of this announcement. Okay, and 40,000 international graduate stream who are English speakers are going to get their Canadian immigration permanent resident status in 2021. That is loud and clear. Now this is 90,000 applicants who will get their PR. Now these are only English speakers. If you are a French speaker, then there is no limit to your PR status. For example, if a healthcare professional, Canada has already invited 20,000 healthcare professionals, they have already given them PR. Then you are an English speaker, then you cannot apply for that. But if you're a French speaker, then still there is chance for you to apply. Now that is a huge news for French speakers. Okay, so yeah, they are going to start this program somewhere in May and they will end it in November. But the thing is, probably they will start taking applications on 6th of May, and they have still not announced the nitty-gritty or the small details for the procedures and where to submit the EOI or what is going to be the system. They have not talked about it. But starting 6th May, when they start their new system, then obviously many people are going to come sit right at their desks, and the fastest finger is going to win. Okay, so I hope IRCC is well equipped for that, and they are ready for stomaching this huge influx of people who are going to apply for PR status through these new immigration pathways. They will stop this program. Now this is important. They will stop this program as soon as they reach their cap. Okay, 20,000 healthcare professionals, they will stop the program. 30,000 essential workers, they will stop the program. 40,000 international student graduates, they will stop the program. Okay, so you have to be quick. You have to be quick. So the people who are in Canada who don't have a job right now, they need to get themselves employed at earliest. Okay, because 6 May you need to be employed, then you will be able to apply. And considering 6,50,000 students in Canada, and most of them would have completed their study programs and they did not receive their ITA on the February 13th, who does not have experience yet and they cannot be called Canadian experience class. They have a golden opportunity here. This is why I dedicated a small portion of this video to the international student graduates, okay, who don't have 1 year full 1 year experience, but they need to be working right now in Canada. So if you don't have a job and you recently completed your studies, then get a job. Okay, this is my personal opinion. Okay, this is Alif Takhar, and I wish you all the best for submitting your application.